Well, it's amazing looking at you to think this is going to be your 18th pantomime here at the Theatre Royal. Beauty and the Beast doesn't sound much like a panto to me, Jon.
Oh, nonsense. It's a wonderful story. It's actually a very old French fairy tale. So the story has been around for generations. And I think the titles are beginning to change slightly in the canon of pantomimes. Things like Cinderella, Peter Pan, Snow White, still very, very, very popular. Some are beginning to fall away, perhaps things like Babes in the Wood, Robinson Crusoe, Mother Goose. Those titles aren't done so much anymore, and I think it's because children don't know the stories. They're not being read those stories at bedtime, if indeed books are still read at bedtime. If Disney has done a film of it, the kids know it. And obviously in commercial pantomime you have to sell tickets, so I think Beauty and the Beast is a great title. It's a wonderful story.
I know you're a modest man, but am I right in thinking you actually wrote this panto?
Not only did I write it, Richard, I won an award for writing it, so I'm not that modest. Yes, I did write it. First time I've written a complete pantomime. I've often contributed bits and bobs to scripts. This is the first time I've written a pantomime from prologue to walk down, which was a real challenge, but I loved it.
Do you see traditional panto dying now then? How difficult is it proving to pull children away from their video games?
I think pantomime is actually in very rude health. I think perhaps it did go through a bit of a dip in the 80s, maybe. No, I think there's everything there. If you get it right, and it's not easy to get it right, but if you do, there is everything you need to keep a child, a parent, and a grandparent thoroughly entertained for 2.5 hours. But I do think it's important that the children know the story. And live theatre, you cannot beat live theatre. Staring at a screen, controlling characters with your thumbs. It's not the same as seeing a man get a custard pie shoved down his trousers right in front of your very eyes. What could be better than that?
So you're saying the child of today will still laugh at a custard pie down the trousers or in the face, but does humour change, and has humour changed over the years and from generation to generation?
I think humour does change. I think, things come in and out of vogue. I mean, if you look at the sitcoms and the TV shows that we were laughing at in the 50s and 60s, they're very different to the 80s, very different to today. I think today is quite a dark humour. It's the humour of awkwardness and embarrassment, where you sit there and you wince at things rather than sort of laughing at silly jokes. I mean, you can't imagine something like Allo Allo on television today. It just wouldn't get made. But I think it's cyclical. I think things come back into fashion again, and as long as pantomime doesn't change too far, doesn't stray too much from its roots, so people know what they're going to get, I think you're onto a winner. And if you look at the ingredients, it's a much-loved fairy tale, bold, colourful characters. You've got men dressed as women, women dressed as men, a bit of camp, a bit of glitter, a bit of song, a bit of dance, a bit of slapstick. It's extraordinary. All those ingredients. How can that possibly fail, as long as you get the balance right?
I was going to say you're in a way the sort of Mozart of the panto world, because to me writing a panto is a bit like writing a symphony, because you've got to put in ingredients that appeal to all the generations and yet make it flow as a whole thing.
Yeah, it was tricky, I must admit, but the crucial element is the story. And this is what I learned from the great Chris Harris, who I worked with for, I think, 13 years. The story is absolutely central. If the children don't believe the story, you've lost them, and then it's game over. So anything that happens has to serve that story. You can't just shove in a random routine just for the sake of it. Then it just becomes a variety show. It's got to serve a purpose, drive the narrative forward, and I think if you're true to that, then you're halfway there.
I know the panto's written, but I suppose you leave little gaps in it because you've got to be topical, haven't you? Some of the humour has to reflect the world outside.
Absolutely. It's always good to put in topical references of things that have happened either that year or recently, also local references as well. So there might be in Bath a reference to the lack of parking, for example, whereas in a different town they would drop in a slightly different reference, and certainly topical stuff as well. We've been doing Brexit jokes for the last God knows how many years. I can't bear to do another one. Surely we've wrung that particular joke dry, although it's really not very funny anymore. But yes, something of that ilk. I'm very tempted to put in a Jacob Rees-Mogg gag this year.
I'll look forward to that one. You mentioned Chris Harris. You've spent so many years doing panto with him. Do you ever see yourself playing the Dane?
Oh goodness, it's a really specialised role, the Dame. It's not just a man in a dress. There is so much more to it than that. And Chris was one of the very best that's ever walked on the stage. And Nick Wilton, who now does the Dame here at Bath, or has for the last few years, cut from a very similar cloth, a perfect match. And I've watched the both of them with huge admiration from the wings. I don't know if I could do it. Chris did say to me, you will play Dame one day. And I think perhaps, as long as somebody keeps employing me, there will become a time when I'm too old to play the comic, and so the Dame role is the next obvious step. So there's a slight degree of it's coming my way. I don't think about it. It terrifies me. But yeah, I'd give it a go. Why not?
Not in the immediate future.
I need to put on a few more pounds. I'm too young. I'm too young and I'm too slim. Say yes, John. Go on, say yes. He's saying nothing. He doesn't believe me.
What I was going to say is, year after year, it says back by popular demand, which is wonderful. And
It's a lie. It's backed by tax demand. That's why. Yeah.
You are, though, an actor. And as much as you enjoy panto, is there a little bit of you who thinks you haven't been taken seriously enough?
Oh, I don't know if I think I haven't been taken seriously enough. I'd like more opportunities in other genres, perhaps. I mean, I've just done a short film, shot that a couple of weeks ago, which is very different to anything I've done before. I've just finished doing a play down in Eastbourne, which, although a comic play, was unlike anything I'd done before, and I loved it. So yes, I think in this industry you get pigeonholed very easily. If you become known for doing one thing, people struggle to see you in any other context. So yes, I mean, I'm a bit too old to play Hamlet, but I'd love to do a straight play. Absolutely, of course I would.